Dan, I think for today's episode, I would like to address the topic of firewood rage.
Oh, again? Didn't we already do that? Haven't we had this conversation before?
I think it's a great topic, firewood rage. I had another, and this is coming from the mild-mannered firewood delivery service here in Northeast Ohio. I
Uh-oh.
had another incident of extreme rage during my
Oh.
day.
Oh boy. All right, well,
I,
let's hear it.
I'm going to have to start seeking professional help for this. Yeah. So I was minding my own business and I walk into a pizza parlor. I ordered a sub sandwich. I walk in to get my sub sandwich and I'm standing there at the counter and they had one of these glass cases with like a rotisserie inside and they had like slices of pizza in there spinning around in a circle.
Okay.
And the sign said, uh, pizza by the slice, $3.50. And when I saw that price, I looked at the board and I could buy the entire pizza for $9.99.
Oh my gosh.
So I just lost it. I just lost my brain. I slammed my hand onto the counter and I yelled at the lady. I said, "You're a ripoff," I said to her.
And did it matter what toppings were on the slices?
I was like, why? Why? That's what I say. Why would anyone buy a slice of pizza for $3.50 when you can get the entire pizza for $9.99? And I just called her a ripoff. A ripoff, I called her.
And I hope you grabbed your sub before you stormed out.
Well, she said to me, she says, "I am not a ripoff. I don't sell firewood," she said.
Yes. She said, "You are. I know you are, but what am I?"
She said, "If I sold firewood by the bundle, now that is a ripoff," she said, because you can get the whole cord for, it doesn't count for anything else in this world, like pizza or half of a sub sandwich or half of a cantaloupe. It only involves firewood.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So I took my sub sandwich and I went home.
that's good. And are you calmed down now? Have you came back to the I guess rip off rage?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I have to listen to it, then so does everyone else. So I am just on the prowl now for the firewood bundle milieu, the firewood bundle dilemma. If you are selling firewood bundles, by golly, you're ripping people off.
Yeah,
So
or
if I'm
anything.
ripping people off, well, then so's the pizza parlor for selling. There should be a law that you cannot sell pizza by the slice. Other than that, I am for freedom and the government off of all of our backs. But
Uh,
but you're not allowed to sell pizza by the slice. You're not allowed to sell mulch in 50-pound bags or play sand. You have to only be able to buy it by the ton.
well, was the pizza made in a wood fired pizza oven?
Probably not. They
Oh,
use the cheater fuel. They use
I was
gas,
gonna
probably.
I was gonna wonder. Was wondering if the wood they used was kiln dried or not.
Yeah, boy. Well, pizza ovens can be kind of finicky. I got a
Yeah.
couple pizza ovens. The one, they got to have dry wood.
Yep.
The other one, they're not as fussy because they have a gas, like a element in it, and they'll get it to burn. They'll get it to burn.
That's kind of the interesting thing when it comes to cooking with wood. Is like you said, pizza ovens want it really dry, but then some smokers want the wood not so dry. They want that moisture in it.
Yeah, I got a couple restaurants. The one they have this gigantic smoker. I mean, it's as big as a camper, and it's electric or gas fired, and it's got this little door on the side that you open it up and you stick in like one log.
Hmm.
So, and it burns out, but that's the smoke comes that way, but the heat is from electricity or gas, depending
Uh,
on their source of
yeah.
of fuel. Yeah.
So they don't need kiln dried wood.
No. And
No.
then like some other places too, I don't know, like it's none of my business. I just give the customer what they want. I got some customers that, that smoke and they demand dry wood. The one guy, he's this big barbecue place. He had to be seasoned. And then there's others that prefer green, like green hickory. They throw a green hickory stick on top of a burning fire.
Well,
So
you get a lot of smoke that way.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, it's none of my business. I just give the customer what they want.
So
I'm no expert.
are you for those that may want the kiln dried firewood? Are you after last week's conversation? What are your thoughts on the kiln, the eye dry, or just kilns in general? I guess.
Yeah. I have mixed emotions about the episode. I re-listened to it and I don't know if I'll blame me. I'll leave you out of it. I'm not real happy with my performance. There's a lot of questions that I wish I would have asked that we didn't. And I still have a lot of questions. I appreciate Paul from iDry coming on, and iDry is kind of an interesting machine. I like the innovation. I like the leveraging of technology in this thing like vacuum kiln, which I never heard of before.
Yeah, me either.
But there was like, I don't know, did you understand all this? Like the thing, and that's where I failed to follow up with it. I failed to figure this out where he had acted like, their kilns are more directed at lumber instead of firewood.
Yes. Yes.
So it's more of a drawn out, protracted process that, did I hear him say like they'll leave it in the kiln for 6 months? Is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
And that's where I missed all that. I wish I would have followed up with that because that sounds like an awfully long time. Can't you just air dry it that same amount in that same amount of time? And I remember him talking about how much the fuel, if you rapidly dry out firewood in like 4 days, how much, you just really spend a way lot of money in the fuel
Yes.
to get that heat. But serious, like that drawn out over 6 months, I don't know. Is it the same amount just compressed into 4 days? That's the kind of stuff. I wish I would have asked better questions.
Well, the 6 month process is to keep the integrity of the lumber intact and to make it dry. You're drying it for quality,
Yeah,
and when you do it in a hurry, you're throwing a lot of energy and a lot of money into it to do it quick,
and that's
and
where the board can warp and
yeah,
crack.
you don't
Yeah,
worry about the quality, and that's why firewood being dried in a kiln is a shorter process because you don't worry if the ends check or if the wood cracks. You just want it dry.
yeah, I can understand that,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But doesn't like 6 months? Is that really how long that they leave that in there?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I've
Really?
I've
Okay.
heard of people that naturally dry, dry lumber without a kiln, like have
Yeah.
boards sitting around for 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a long
Okay.
process, and that just reflects on that whole statement that he made about the faster you want to dry wood, the more energy it's going to take, and the more energy is the more money.
Uh huh. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I missed was, could we have gotten into the financials or the business model of a kiln? Like how do you I guess you obviously have to buy it. And are you how much money are you making with it if the wood has to stay inside of it for 6 months before it dries out before you can ever sell it?
Yeah.
And I don't know, lumber and boards, I mean, they're not that pricey, are they?
Well, I mean, the other thing to remember is that you can stack your lumber in there top to bottom, side to side. You can get a lot of board feet inside to dry down at once. And I mean, I've seen like live edge walnut slab tables for like thousands of dollars.
Oh, wow.
It can, I think you can, with the right type of wood and the right, if it's high quality, you can get a pretty good amount of money for it.
Uh, okay.
Because you're not
Yeah,
like selling them to like for somebody to build a barn with. It's just like furniture, countertop, bar top, mantle,
Yeah.
stuff like that. The high end furniture.
Yeah, and I would have to see it, but I just have it in my head that they're much smaller than the kilns that I was complaining about a year ago that I saw for sale at some trade shows where, I mean, serious. I joked about it, but I think they were as big as my house.
Yeah.
These kilns, and then you see how expensive they are. I don't know. And I guess I'm a business person, but I take pride in being kind of like a corporate rebel, and I don't put a lot of energy into like balancing. I mean, I've always said if you can balance your checkbook, you can run a business. So the deep dive, this analysis on return on investment, capital expenditure, all these accounting terms that people get all excited about, make me want to ignore it even more. So I don't know. There's just something I'm still missing about kilns, and it's no fault of Paul. I think it was just the way we're trying to understand what he had in our short amount of time. We try to keep our episodes around a half hour long.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of if you're going to be using a kiln for firewood, you need to be moving a lot of firewood, and you need to be, I think, having some type of like biomass waste that you can use to offset the heat that you need to put into it. So
Yeah,
there's ways to offset your cost of running it. So I think it's for one of those larger operations, and it just allows them to not have 100 cords of firewood sitting around drying.
yeah. Well, that is the foundation of my problem, though. With I guess I'm picking on kilns, but I really think for the entire firewood industry that a lot of these machines that we all fall in love with, they're out of touch for us normal people. They're for these massive operations because people think that firewood must be a volume industry. I argue that it can be a margin industry. And these kilns and the size, they're just set up for these big operations. And that's what I was interested in the iDry because they look much smaller, still
Right.
kind of pricey for me. I mean, to each their own, but I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, what the heck? I sell firewood. And, when I look at the firewood industry, okay, there are some big people out there. Every area's got the big wood yard, but I mean, the majority of it are the small weekend warriors, the hobbyists that are out there on Marketplace, Craigslist, and all, and where a smaller kiln could be useful, and that's
Yep.
where I think probably my frustration is that we're back to where we started from.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for a smaller operation, it may give you that edge in the market to be able to advertise and sell kiln dried firewood that then
Yeah,
might give you a little higher ROI. I
yeah.
don't know.
Well, the benefit isn't just for the producer, where they can rapidly dry out their wood and sell it, maximizing the yardage, the space that they have to work with, and they may have a small footprint of a yard to work with, where you don't have to have 60 cords all stacked up neatly to be drying out. You could use a kiln to get it dried down. That's not the only benefit. The other one is the mold and the bugs
Yes.
that, depending on who your customer base is, that's something that they would appreciate, where that wood's being stacked inside their house and all the ants are dead.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
there's a lot of factors that go into that, because if you think of if your market is you're just selling to you're selling cordwood to a bunch of farmers to heat their house, they're not going to
yeah.
care if it's kiln dried or not, because
No,
but if you're selling in a city, a large urban environment, like, those are your customers that will want kiln dried and pay more for it.
I agree. Apartments,
Yep.
condominiums, townhomes, and restaurants.
Restaurants. Yep.
I know a couple that aren't, but the majority of my restaurants are very fussy.
Oh yeah.
They will be on the phone with me if they got bugs or if it's mud or it won't burn. No
Yeah.
question. Yeah. Yeah. But do you understand? Maybe we need to get an accountant on here, but I don't like accountants. I'm an accountant rebel. After my 22 plus corporate career, I avoid paperwork. I just do the bare minimum here. But this whole kiln thing. I mean, how do you? I don't know. Like I had a comment, and I know we gripe about comments and stuff, but I'm not griping about this one because I think it makes a good discussion piece. I had a I don't know the guy I've never recognized the name, and he made a bunch of comments on older videos that I had up, and all of his comments they were well intended, but they were nitpicking me and criticizing me because I if I give the appearance that I'm just winging this and figuring it out as I go along, that's not that's not an appearance. That's reality.
That's
I
no show.
I don't have a business plan written out. I don't have a 2-year plan. I don't have a 5-year plan. I just have my own sense of buy low, sell high,
Right.
and delivery of customer service, and a world class delivery model, and being a good sales person. Okay, that's what I do. I consider myself an operator. I'm not an accountant. But yeah, this guy here, he was making these comments about, like I was discussing roadside stands, and he was saying like, this is where I'm deficient in what I do because this should have all been addressed in my business plan, yada yada yada.
Oh,
And my
yes.
reply to him was, if I were putting all this energy into my business plan, as you're stating, I would still be in my cubicle trying to get my point two up to a point four. You know, to me, it was get it. You know what you need to do, get it going, and figure it out. That's how I took. That's how I approached Ohio Woodburner.
You didn't pull out your PowerPoint and say, refer to slide 10 of this deck right here. This is my
Yeah,
business plan. Yeah.
my pivot table.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of, I mean, there are businesses out there where you probably do need a business plan. And I think also when you start involving like possibly taking out a loan for like capital or trying to seek investors in your business, I think all of that would where you would need a written out business plan to show your, you know, whatever
Yeah.
projections, sales, revenue, all that stuff. But when it's just you starting up selling firewood, the plan is get some wood, let it season, and sell it.
My plan was simple. Don't lose the house.
Yeah, there
That
you
was my
go.
plan. Yeah. That was boy. I have I have a computer program. It does my invoices. It keeps track of my sales. I could generate any kind of report in the world for it, but I literally don't care. All I look at is month over month, year over year, just to see if I'm growing. And that's it. The paperwork that I keep track of are the ones that I have to, like tax exempt sales and, accounts payable, accounts receivable, just because I pay my bills. You know, Dad always says, never trust a person that doesn't pay their bills. So I pay my bills, and that's it. I don't. There's all of these reports and stuff. That it just means nothing to me, and that's what I keep it at, like a checkbook level, and that's my message to people too, because we had a previous episode about snobs, and I see that a lot in the business community, the business snobs, where whatever the expertise has, people like to use it as a weapon. And like this guy was telling me that I must have a business plan, and I was like, well, no, I don't, because I'm been doing this for 7 years, and take a look, bud.
Yeah, and
There's
here
no
you
plan
are.
here. There day might come, the day might come, but it ain't happening anytime soon, I'll tell you that. And then he kept it up too about other things. Everything about the way I'm doing it was wrong. He had told me that firewood is a volume industry. Anyone that doesn't understand that doesn't, it's like, no, I disagree with that too, bud.
Yep. Yeah.
Mine is a margin industry. It's not volume. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought I looked at it as good discussion though.
Right. Yeah. It's something that, again, it has its place, but look at you. I mean, What did you say?
Yeah.
7 years. Here you are. No, the main plan is more money coming in than going out. That's
Yeah.
that's all it comes
I
down
mean,
to.
how many times have I asked if you could lend me a couple bucks, couple $20 here. Okay, whatever. If you leave that out, otherwise I've been pretty successful, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I would
that
say so.
is when if I were to ever get into a kiln, I do think though, especially if these pricey ones, I don't know if I'd ever spend that much money on a kiln. Number one. Number two, I
No.
would need to figure this out because there's still a lot of these things that just don't make sense to me. I'm assuming that I would be able to sell my wood for more than what I'm currently getting for it. But like the turnover and stuff, I don't know. It just seems to me like once you have your inventory built up over, and that's what every year my running inventory keeps getting bigger and bigger because I can sell everything I get my hands on. My limiting factor has always been procurement. So am I to assume that I don't know. That's why I'm just saying I don't know. I'm not understanding kilns. Maybe I just don't understand if they would work for me.
Yeah, I agree that it can be confusing, and when you try to throw it in, it like doesn't make sense for your business. I don't know either. I don't know. As a
Yeah.
hobbyist, I know I don't need one right now because I
How
am.
would one of those look in your backyard though?
Well, it would look pretty out of place, I would think.
Uh-huh.
Very much so.
So that is kind of neat though that iDrive makes that I guess a unit, an apparatus that you like sit next to a shipping container. That's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
or attached
Or
to a shed.
yeah, a garden shed. You just insulate it and off you go. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. One day this will all make sense. Um,
Well, again, it gets back to what you just said about like your plan is just to have enough wood dry and ready to go. That's part of your operation. So if you need, like I said, turn over the wood quick, yeah, a kiln is probably the answer, but then you're going to have to be turning a lot of wood over quick. That's the
yeah,
downside.
yeah, because then that's what I'm saying. The amount of extra income that you could generate with that would help pay for it.
Right. Possibly. But if you went to your customers and said, I just bought a kiln, so now I'm going to charge you more, they're going to say, well, why'd you buy a kiln? I was happy with your wood before. It's
Yeah,
like,
really.
does it justify having it?
Yeah, well, I think that the kiln market, customers that are interested in kiln dried firewood, that they're like a different breed. And I think it's a different type of marketing and educating your customers
Yeah.
for them to see the value that they're going to get. Like, the wood that I deliver is dry, man. It'll light right
Right.
now. But I guess in theory, it's been sitting outside for a year. It probably got a bug here and there.
Yeah.
Might have a mold spore here and there, but for the most part, it looks real nice. But then who's to say? I think a kiln has got to be a super duper process driven thing too, because if you like kiln dry wood, are you gonna like go set it out in the field, for like 6 months before you
Well,
sell it?
see,
I don't
and
know.
that's the other thing is like for the bug treatment, once your wood is heat treated, it can't be left outside again. So you have to pretty much once it comes out of the kiln, it's got to be sent and delivered to the customer.
Uh huh.
So there's another wrinkle in the operation.
Yeah, and that's what we had learned from you is that kiln
Yep.
dried and heat treated are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
And
for you,
if you were selling um, heat treated wood, no one should be criticizing you because you're not selling kiln dried wood.
yeah, it's two different things.
Two different things.
And what you just said about your wood sitting out longer, so like in Wisconsin, if your wood is seasoned outdoors for 2 years, it's considered
Yeah.
the same as heat treated. So bugs don't like dry wood. They are only on wood that you fresh cut. So if it's sitting and seasoning, the chances of having the bugs in it are probably less the longer you let it sit.
Yeah, it's sitting out for 2 years. Come on. I mean, I have oak that'll sit for 2 years, but good heavens.
Yeah.
If you're letting your mixed hardwoods sit out for 2 years, I'd say you're pretty bad at selling. I don't know.
Well,
Wow, that's a
I
long time to to get your profit.
I know of a pile of wood that I don't know if it'll be sitting for 2 years, but by the size of seeing it, it would take me 2 years to move through it. And that was the this past weekend, the Hoosier Firewood Hysteria. They Mike from K&L Firewood had a little get together, and they produced a mountain of wood that
Yeah,
is
they did.
insane.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. A couple things. Number one, I think Mike from K&L is a very nice man, a gentleman, just a very nice person. But he puts that together. And what does it say, not just about him, but about everyone involved? These people traveled long distances, spent money, their own money, for hotel stays and their meals, with all their equipment, and they worked, in the
Yes.
rain, and they worked in the heat, and it was all to benefit other people.
Yep. Veterans.
Yeah.
Veterans.
I don't want to get carried away here, but I'm just saying that is what makes the firewood community on YouTube and social media what it is. Serious, I mean, that is a
Yes.
major league operation. That was awesome.
Yeah. And there was, like you mentioned, people traveled, people worked all day, and it was just, like I said, I think there's a couple of different sheds, and they are just stuffed to the very
Yeah,
top,
it's a
full up to the
mountain of
rafters
wood.
of wood. Man.
We had the Wolf Ridge company came from Wisconsin, and then Easton Made brought all those machines across the border
Yep.
to do that.
Yeah,
And
there
there's
was,
paperwork involved with that, and there they were.
and just all the people that showed up to, help. When you see the footage, people are always doing something. Somebody's moving around, somebody's taking splits away. They had dump trailers that they would go and dump and then put the wood up into the pile. Just an
Yeah.
all out great effort. And yes, again, Mike did a heck of a job there.
Yeah, he is got a lot to be proud of. Really nice.
All right, so yeah, it was the Hoosier Firewood Hysteria was a great turnout, great event, and I hope this discussion here of business plans and kilns, I hope that's brought your rage down, Joe, and you're a little
Yeah,
more
pizza by the
relaxed.
slice.
We
What's
need
this world coming to, huh?
we need instead of the rage, instead of the R word, we need the relax and the rest, those words. We need to get you under control here. No more
Yes,
rage.
I am such an uptight person too. I just could not contain myself. Pizza by the slice. Are you serious?
Yes. Well,
All right.
be on the lookout for the next ripoff. Coming to you from Joe at Ohio Woodburner.
That's right. I'm going to
Exposing
do a whole
ripoffs.
video. I'm going to do a whole video on how everyone in this world's a ripoff, except, well, I guess that would include firewood because we
Yep.
sell bundled firewood. Oh boy.
I was going to say, takes one to know one.
That's right. All right. Well, Dan, what do you say that we strike up the band?
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and making the Woodhounds the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
Yeah. And if you would be so kind, please give us a rating on the streaming service that you listen to and give us a 5-star rating because it absolutely helps us be found by other people and suggestions, on their streaming service.
And you can find us on every major streaming service out there or on our website at woodhounds.com.
That's right. All right, Dan. Well, how about this? How about you stay
Safe,
and be
not a ripoff.
and have
A great day.